Hey guys, this is Ostadi and welcome back to Comic Space. And as we are about to head into some of the major Marvel titles in the upcoming months, from Marvel Animation to Marvel Studios to Marvel Television, with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man being just right around the corner, with Captain America Brave New World and Daredevil both again, which is going to be quite an exciting one. So, we have a lot of things to look forward to. But again, with a lot of these things coming out, Marvel Studios is also going to be heading into the production of Avengers Doomsday very soon. And of course, we have started to hear a lot of things about what is going to be happening, a lot of the casting rumors going around. But today, again, this is not an update or an insight or anything like that. You can, I think, call it in much more of a friendly discussion that we are having with what is going down behind the scenes with Avengers Doomsday within recent major interview by the Russo brothers, and why they decided to come back to the world of the MCU beside the big paycheck, and what was that story that they needed to tell. And of course, they got Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom. So a lot of things happening with Doomsday, with Doctor Doom. So we are going to break it down as we head. So again, in a recent interview where Russo brothers went on to state, not that returning to the MCU was an obvious move, Endgame was the end, and it took us a little time for us to begin to think about something other than the end. We are very close with Kevin and Louis Pasito and the entire Marvel team. We had conversation throughout the years. We have talked about a lot of ideas, and then the inspiration for Secret Wars struck. Really what happened was, we ended up stumbling upon an idea that activated all of us. You couldn't see it until it came, and it was like, that's the story that we need to tell. What was that story or an inspiration that really made all of these people go, with Russo brothers coming back, with of course Kevin Feige got on board to bring back Robert Downey Jr. back as Victor Von Doom. And of course, we also have heard from Robert Downey Jr. himself when he initially was talking with Kevin Feige about coming back in the MCU and as Victor Von Doom, and he did had a conversation about getting Doom right. So the main thing for Kevin Feige and for all of those guys, and especially for all of these guys that we just talked about Russo brothers and RDJ and Kevin Feige, and the entire Marvel team, is that they do have to get this right, because for sure it wasn't quite an obvious move for Russo brothers to move on after what they did with Endgame, and it also looks like Marvel Studios wasn't also going back to Russo brothers. They for sure had conversation about it, but nothing really landed. They had Destin Daniel Crichton initially attached to the project for Avengers Kang Dynasty, which was at that point. They got multiple screenwriters to write the script for both Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Right now, Stephen McFeely is writing the script for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, I believe, for the both of the films. And they have scrapped the whole Michael Waldron's draft, which was in place before Stephen McFeely and Russo brothers came back on board with Marvel Studios. So that draft has been completely scrapped up, which again I believe it was still at the time of Avengers Kang Dynasty, and that was in quite a major creative overhaul, and they're still writing the script for Avengers Doomsday as they are about to go, which is again being the nature of Marvel Studios. They are going to be writing it even when they are in the production, which is just been the nature of Marvel. The main thing here is that they have the core idea. They are obviously going to making changes around it, some elements, some characters and some variants that they might like to involve, some casting decision for that say. They're going to be doing a lot of work on that front, but the core idea still remains the same. And I think the Russo brothers also went on to talk about Endgame being an end. But I also think that Endgame could be a great starting point for Russo brothers, how they're going to be building towards Secret Wars. So again, I think the three major characters that we need to talk about, and which are probably going to be very pivotal when we go back to Doomsday and Secret Wars. And the first being, of course, Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom. I think they can start working on how they're going to be introducing that dynamic of Doom, and especially with Peter and the other Avengers and the 616 heroes. They're going to be start building that off of the end of the Endgame. And of course, Chris Evans is, I mean, it literally came from Variety, so I think it can get much as an official as it can get, coming from an official Hollywood trade, and saying that Chris Evans have signed on to be part of Avengers Doomsday. We don't know the nature or the extent of his role, but of course he's coming back. Could be in variant, could be in Cap variant, could be in villain variant. So we gotta see on that front. Could be a no bad version of the Captain America as well, which we never fully got within the MCU. But of course, Scarlett Johansson possibly could be coming back, at least for a cameo or in some extent, with all of these major characters from the days of the Infinity Saga coming back in a completely different form. And especially we even have went on to talk about the possibility of them, all of the Infinity War heroes coming back as the villain versions. With of course Doctor Doom, this version, RDJ's version of Doctor Doom, building his own kind of multiverse, a dark Avengers sort of team to go up against her 616 heroes. So that is the one thing which the character of Doom is literally going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting. He's going to be the central point. He's going to be the whole film, because the title is literally Doomsday, but also they don't have a lot of time to build that character as much as they did with Kang, because Kang was the guy and he still might be the guy at least still some extent until Doom comes off and knocks him out of it, which again Marvel Studios is still due on an explanation of how they're going to be writing off Kang, and especially QUNTAMMANIA post-credit scene where they introduce Kang Dynasty and get Doom in, or they just want us to forget whatever happened with QUNTAMMANIA and that post-credit scene, which again this version of Doctor Doom will have a lot of knowledge about, especially our 616 continuity, because that is what it is. We are going to be following the story of the heroes from the 616, because that's the one we really kind of care about, because that's the one we have been watching out for years now, with Sam Wilson's Captain and all of the heroes coming from our main continuity. And then of course Fantastic Four is going to be another pivotal universe to look out for. A lot of the X-Men that we are going to be seeing coming into Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars it is probably going to be coming from a universe which is still, I believe it is still unsigned, whatever universe that Monica is stuck in right now. But another major thing when Russo brothers are going to be coming back into the world of MCU, that they will also have the addition of the X-Men and the Fox characters to their list. They can do a lot more with those characters coming into the play, especially given the multiverse is in play and this is Secret Wars. So again the concept and the build up has been set up for a lot of interesting things. I think when all of these characters are actually going to be coming back together, I think that's how pretty much we can be getting closer to much of a replication of that comic accurate 616 continuity of how that actually looks like, with of course a tons of variants coming into the play. Or then we actually head into the 616 continuity of the comics, where we actually see much more of how the actual Marvel Comics universe looks like, but of course not having all of those characters to them, but now they have and they can go big with them. We are going to be heading into an Avengers film after about a 7 years gap between the last one, and this is not going to be culminating in phase, this is culminating in a whole saga and setting up a new one, which is probably going to be the Mutant Saga. So they're going to have a lot of work to do when it comes to culminating the saga, when it comes to portraying Secret Wars into live action, and how many decisions and changes that they will need to make it. So again we gotta see how they're going to be managing all of these elements and coming all together, because obviously they're going to be lefting out much of the things, but the things that they're actually going to be deciding to adapt, how they're going to do it, how they're going to introduce Time Turns Out storyline, if they're actually going to be doing that, if Doctor Strange 3 can be coming into the play, and of course the infinite possibilities of different variants that can be showing up, which again when it comes to that the character count is just going to be insane, and when it comes to casting of all of those characters, that is going to be much more insane. Out of all of those films have left, we don't have anything between Fantastic Four and Avengers Doomsday. So again that's the one project that has the highest possibility of Doom showing up at some capacity. He's not going to be integral part of that story. We can expect some sort of appearance or a hint towards the building of Avengers Doomsday, because there's nothing between those two films. So we're going to be heading all heads up in Avengers Doomsday after Fantastic Four first steps. So they're going to have a lot of work to do with Doom specifically, because I think all of the other things, the whole setup for Secret Wars has been quite well laid down. They have a lot of the things going on in the place. They have a lot of the characters set up. A lot of the storyline have been set up quite very well. So it is going to be fun where Russo brothers is going to be taking this story of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars in what direction and what changes and what addition that they are going to be making to these iconic stories that already have been adapted. When it comes to Secret Wars, when it comes to Time Turns Out coming together, and they're obviously going to be heading into the production soon, so we are probably going to start hearing a lot more updates and insights about what is actually going on. And it is going to be fun when we get to all of those major theory breakdowns with a lot of speculation going on, with a lot of cameos, with a lot of appearances and everything going on. So it is going to be fun when we get to it. So again, I think it is time for me to see you guys off on this one. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host Adi signing off. See you in the next one.